And so it's that time once more for us to update our monthly tier list video. In this case, we received 6 new characters and also 6 new resurrections. And in terms of characters, we got a great set of new characters to play around with this month, some good farming characters, and when it comes to the resurrections, unfortunately some of them were quite mediocre, but we did actually get a very good resurrection, and that's sure to knock him up in the tier list this month. And for those that aren't aware, as always, we have 3 main factors when it comes to our ranking of characters. Number 1, usability. You could have great damage output, but if you can't really be used anywhere, or you have very limited usage, then that's going to affect your ranking a tad bit. Number 2 is damage and also range, very important. The faster you can kill things, the better your strong attacks, the higher you're going to be on this list. And then for our final factor, we have survivability. I definitely think this is an undervalued aspect when it comes to Bleach Brave Souls. Some people don't really care about it, but having immunities or any way to passively heal yourself and stay at full stamina is a great aspect for a character to have, and I definitely do value things like that. So with that said, as always, let's jump into our monthly tier list, this time starting off with the heart attribute. Now in this case, when it comes to the heart attribute, we didn't receive a single new character, and the character that did get resurrected this month for this particular attribute was actually 1000-Year Blood War Yachiru Unohana. Now in her case, she is a Brave Battle character, and the upgrades that she did get are mainly designed for Brave Battles. As the 2 skills she did pick up is 30% normal attack damage when you are under 50% stamina, and then also ignore Brave Battle invincibility. If this was a Brave Battle tier list, which we will update at the end of the year by the way, then she would definitely be moving up a position, but when it comes to her playability and PvE content, she basically stayed the exact same. Sure, she does a tad bit more damage, but it doesn't really impact her or change her that much, so she's still going to stay in B tier for now. But do look forward to the upcoming Brave Battle tier list. I think we are going to get a Brave Battle character at the end of the year, which is why I'm holding out until we get that, and in Yachiru's case, she's definitely going to be moving up. But other than that, that's basically the heart attribute tier list. We don't really need to change anything, and I don't want to touch upon the characters once more since we've already talked about them in length in past videos. But without a doubt, your 3 best characters for the heart attribute is of course going to be the 1000-Year Blood War 2022 version of Ichigo, 6th Anniversary Aizen, and also the Spirits Are Forever With You Untold Stories version of Yoruichi. Moving on to the power attribute, firstly looking at our resurrected character for this month. In this case, we have the other Yachiru Kusajishi. Unfortunately, when it came to her resurrection, she did not receive the upgrade that we really wanted her to receive. And in that, we were really hoping for her to pick up Frenzy +1 because she already had a decent set of strong attacks, and just picking up Frenzy +1 would have been enough for her to be usable. Unfortunately, when it came to her upgrade, she only got a damage increase when it comes to her Soul Bomb, picking up 20% devastation and also 20% full stamina damage. Now in her case, that actually could be quite decent because since release, her whole thing was the damage that she can do on a Soul Bomb, since she was initially given bombardment and also weakened defense. So that extra 40% damage that she can do on a Soul Bomb actually might help her be able to be a better nuker in the hard difficulty of guild quests, more specifically though the meaty Espada guild quests. We saw a very similar upgrade with 1000-Year Blood or Byakuya, and in his case he's actually very fortunate because he can be paired with someone like 1000-Year Blood with Ichigo, who does more damage to enemies that aren't afflicted by a status summon. So those two almost work hand in hand together and have been used to get a very fast playtime in guild quests. But when it comes to this Yachiru, she doesn't really have a good partner like Byakuya does, and as of right now I haven't really seen anyone nuke with her in Espada guild quest, so realistically, in terms of her upgrade to the majority of the players, she basically stayed the exact same. So because of that, she stayed in C tier. But for our new character this month, we did receive the Resurrection Segunda Etapa version of Ulquiorra. Now in his case, he's going to be going in S tier just above Swimsuit Momo. The reason for this is that this character has a very high damage output. That's mainly due to his normal attack damage plus 20% soul trait, a 40% normal attack damage increase skill, and also when you are at full stamina, you get an additional 40% normal attack damage. That's great in and of itself, and then it also gets increased when you are using this character in guild quests, as he does have killer effects plus 30%, which gets increased to 50% in guild quests, and then also 10% more range damage, which therefore gets increased to 30% in guild quests. So as you can see there, overall this character has a high damage output, which gets further increased in guild quests where he wants to be used, more specifically though the range capped in guild quests. Now to go alongside that with his usability in guild quests and even outside of guild quests, he does provide the team with a barrier, a +5 barrier for himself, which is going to help him stay at full stamina and keep that 40% normal attack damage increase, and then it also gives a free hit barrier for your teammates, so we can play that support role to a certain extent, and alongside that, paired with that Barrier SA2, he also does have a debuff in combination with that. So that means when you do use that SA2, not only are you giving your teammates the barriers, you're lowering the enemy's attack, focus, and defense by 33%. And this can be useful in guild quests where the character wants to be used, and also epic raids where he really gets to shine in my opinion. And since he is a ranged non-attack damaging character, he has that range advantage when compared to melee Nad characters, for example, but he also does have Sharpshooter, which allows him to go through enemy guards, makes him useful in normal PvP content if you do want to use him there, and you can also use him to go through any resistances if you come across them in Extreme Cup, maybe future content, and of course also Senkamon. So overall, this Segunda Etapa Ulquiorra is a very solid character that's mainly going to excel in guild quest content, but definitely can be used outside of there. Just really comes down to if you prefer playing with this character over someone else, for example. But moving over to the main tier list, firstly looking at our resurrected character of this month, in this case, we have 1000 Year Blood War Bankai Kenpachi. And Kenpachi is an example of one of the better resurrections to date, and this is due to the 3 skills that he did pick up upon resurrecting. The first one being Sprinter +1. Originally, since he was a Kenpachi character, at this time Caleb were not willing to give Kenpachi character Sprinter +1, and therefore that meant he only had 1 flash step, and because of that he was more open to attacks, he was quite a slow character, and most importantly, he just wasn't fun. So him picking up Sprinter +1 it definitely helped with that situation, and then alongside that he got a 20% Berserker, so overall taking his damage output to 40% Berserker, since he does have 20% built into his soul trait, and then he also did pick up Havoc +20%, overall increasing the amount of range he does have in his strong attacks. And then to wrap this character up for his Resurrection soul trait, alongside the 20% Berserker, he also did pick up 60% more damage when at full stamina. So in terms of range, he got a good upgrade, in terms of mobility, he got a good upgrade, and then in terms of damage, he also got a good upgrade. So because of that, I'm going to put him near the top of A tier, just below the White Day version of Toshiro, due to Toshiro's really good usability in epic raids. But overall, in terms of an upgrade, this is what you can ask for when it comes to Resurrection. This is what you want. It's very rare for a character to get an upgrade like this, but in Kenpachi's case, very good and solid upgrade. But moving away from that, now let's talk about the new characters for the Mind Attribute. In this case, we've got 2. The first being the past version of Gin. Now, Gin is best described as a character that you're only really going to use as a link or in epic raids, very similar to the White Day version of Toshiro. He's not a great character by any means, but he is someone you do want to have in your account because he is a farming character. His soul trait is Heart Droplet Drop plus 30%, and because it's the soul trait, you can use it for himself while playing with him to get those extra bits of droplets, or you can use his character as a link to farm droplets while using someone else. I do like that, and I am a fan of them doing it for more characters like this. And then to go alongside that, he also does have the Heart Link Swap Potion plus 5 skill, so he is a character ideally that's going to be only used in epic raids. Other than that, you don't really have much of a reason to use him. His strong attacks are okay, he is lacking a tad bit on the range, has some good strong attack damage because he does have 60% Berserker, 20% of that being shared to your Mind characters, and also Frenzy +1. He doesn't do anything exceptionally well, but he is a good enough character to be used, and someone you want to use when farming links or potions and also droplets. So because of that, he is definitely a character you want to get your hands on. He is a valuable character to have, but in terms of strengths, you're not really using him because he's good, you're using him because he's a farmer, essentially. So just like many other farmers, I'm going to put him in 8 tier, in this case just above Kenpachi, below Toshiro, because Gin and Toshiro are very comparable in what they do. They're essentially both only going to be used in epic raids, and if I was to pick one or the other, I would much rather bring Toshiro, for example. Our next character, though, is the hidden version of Ulquiorra, a very similar character, and a character that almost outclasses this Gin, and it's kind of funny how they release back to back. So not only is this hidden version of Ulquiorra a very powerful character, which we will get to into a minute, he's also one of the most valuable main characters in the game. Probably at this current point, the main character you want to have. If you were to only own one main character, it would probably want to be this one. And the reason for that is because he does come with 3 farming skills. The first being Heart Link Swap Potion plus 5, so you're getting those additional Link Swap Potions by using this character. He then also has Heart Super Link Swap Potion plus 5 skill, so you're also getting the extra Heart Super Link Swap Potions, and then he also does come with the Heart Droplet Drop Rate plus 30%. So this character can be used to basically farm everything. You want Heart Link Swap Potions? Bring Ulquiorra. You want Heart Super Link Swap Potions? Bring Ulquiorra. You want Heart Link Swap Potions? Well then bring this Ulquiorra. So for a farming aspect, great character. But how well does he farm this content? But you don't have to worry about that because he's a great character, and that's thanks to his damage output. For starters, he has Frenzy +1 with a 40% Berserker, and then alongside that, when you do inflict a status element and keep Mighty Can apply weakening, you then do 40% more damage to any enemy that is afflicted by a status element. And he can actually share this skill to his team if you are a Mind Attribute Arrancar, which is important to note because when you are farming Super Linkshot potions, for example, you are going to be paired with someone like the swimsuit version of Neliel, a character also designed to farm Super Linkshot potions, so at the same time you're also increasing her damage output, which I think is really important to know. But to go alongside that, to round him up, he also does have an increased chance of inflicting status elements to any heart enemy, and that is great because again he wants to be used in IT, he wants to inflict status elements, and he's going to have a very easy time inflicting status elements. I took this character 1 out of 5 into IT and he had a super easy time clearing it. Great strong attacks, great damage output, not anything super high, but respectable and good enough to be used. Overall, this Ogura is a very powerful character, and because of that, we're putting him at the top of S tier. This character is great in of itself, but the fact that he comes with extra farming skills makes him again one of the more valuable main characters in the entire game. And the great thing about him, in my opinion, is that he's a premium character, so you will eventually pull him sometime in the future. He's not going to be that rare. You are going to have to get lucky to pull him, but he's going to be more available compared to some of the other limited characters in the game, like Thousand Year Bloodwort and Spiritsar for every characters, for example. But moving into the speed tier list, in this case we received 2 new characters and 1 new resurrectable character. Looking at our resurrectable character for this attribute, we have Hachigun. Now unfortunately, Hachigun's resurrection really isn't that great. In terms of his soul trait, he picked up Lacerate Duration -55%, which as of right now isn't that usable. The only time you come across Laceration is in Senkaman or Arena, and you're not really going to be using that character in any of those types of content since Laceration is easily avoidable. And in terms of his upgrade when it comes to the skills, he only picked up a 20% Berserker, which sure is nice because it does increase the amount of damage he can do, but overall, in terms of resurrection, this character almost plays the exact same. He does 20% more damage, but that isn't enough to even move him up in this tier list in my opinion. But luckily for the speed attribute, we did receive 2 very great characters. In this case, our first character is the new past version of Aizen. And Aizen receiving his 3rd character this year, this is a prime example of a great character that is held back by his killer, and also the fact that he is a mid-month character. So looking at the positives of this particular character, he has a very, very high damage output. That's thanks to his Frenzy +1 skill, his 40% Berserker. When at full stamina, you do 20% more damage. He then also has the Spiritual Pressure boost, so when you do inflict a status element, you get an 80% stat boost to your Spiritual Pressure stat. And then lastly, when you are at full stamina, and only at full stamina, you then do 40% more strong attack damage. So that right there is great. Like, his damage output is very, very high. Higher than some end of month characters like the Ogura we just recently received. And then to go alongside that damage output, he has Drain, so he has a very easy time at staying at full stamina, keeping that 40% strong attack damage and also 20% full stamina damage. And then he also has some good utility. With Guard Break and also Hidden Enemies combined into one skill, this character is great. However, the problems start to arise when you have a look at the character's strong attacks. His strong attacks are actually pretty decent. It's a Vacuum Vortex SA1, allow him to inflict status elements a tad bit easier to keep that Spiritual Pressure boost. He has a Beam SA2 and a Full Screen SA3, but because he was a mid-month character, he is lacking a crucial skill in my opinion, and that is Havoc plus 20%. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but that less range is quite impactful in my opinion. I found that when I played this character, a lot of the times my strong attacks were kind of missing people because it just didn't have that extra bit of range. And to go alongside that, he also does have a Squad 0 killer, which is great in Guild Quest, the only time you're ever going to see Squad 0 enemies, but because of that, he is lacking a tad bit in terms of usability. He has great damage, some really good survivability in terms of just constantly healing himself, but with no increased chance to inflict a status element so we can easily keep that Spiritual Pressure boost. With no Havoc and also a bad killer, I just find myself wondering where am I ever going to use this character. Having said that though, we're still going to put him in S tier. I'm going to put him right below the Retsu. I think his damage output is great, and I feel like he would have actually been the top of S tier had he been given a better killer, because I think that's really holding him back right now. The lack of Havoc and the lack of a good usable killer kind of hurts his character. But if you are someone that still wants to use him, you're definitely going to have a fun time. He's a great character, just held back by the fact he is a mid-month character. But a character that isn't held back by being a mid-month is the new renewed version of Ogura, a new take on 3rd anniversary Ogura, and this character definitely doesn't disappoint. He was technically given an anniversary level treatment, and by that, he was given a great set of strong attack skills and also 2 killer abilities. His first one being Hollow Killer, which is great, but in the overarching speed list of characters, there are so many Hollow holo killers. Literally 3 of the SS tier characters are holo killers. But in addition to the holo killer, he also does come with a Sparta killer, which overall increases the character's usability, is good in IT when the bosses are Spartas, like right now, and also really good in Guild Quest. This Ulquiorra then comes with a really high damage output thanks to the fact that he does have weakening and burn on every single attack, has frenzy +1, a 40% berserker, and also does 40% more damage to enemies that are afflicted by Statusman, and he does share that to your entire team if you are a speed attribute Arrancar. And then to go alongside that, he is the first character in the game to have the Arrancar Resonance, a new skill where if you play with other Arrancars, you then get an additional 10% strong attack damage. And this does count for himself, so innately he's always going to have that extra 10% strong attack damage. But if you play Epic Raids, for example, and 5 other Ulquiorras join you, or just Arrancars in general, it's then increasing his overall strong attack damage by 60%. It's going to be rare for that to happen, but it is just something worth mentioning. And then to round up this character's damage in terms of strong attacks, he also does have the status element Spiritual Pressure boost. So upon inflicting a status element, you then get an 80% stat boost to your Spiritual Pressure stat. So strong attack damage, great. Strong attacks that he have also is great. A Beam SA1, a small vacuum vortex into a trucking vortex, one of the better strong attack 2s in the entire game, provides great crowd control, and is almost guaranteed to inflict a status element to allow him to get that Spiritual Pressure boost. And then he also does have a full screen SA3. He of course does have Havoc, complete status immunity, which allows him to be a tad bit of a safe character, not having to worry about any status element on the floor, has great mobility thanks to his long stride and also 2 extra flash steps, and then at the same time is also one of the best nukers in the game, because alongside having weakening, the Spiritual Pressure boost on his Soul Bomb, he also does come with Devastation plus 40% and also Bombardment. So because of this allows him to be one of the hardest nuking characters in the game, very comparable to 1000 Year Blood with Yamamoto. Yamamoto does do more damage, but at the same time, it really doesn't matter. We have seen many people test his character in Guild Quest, and he can pull off the same feats that make 1000 Year Blood War Yamamoto great when it comes to Guild Quest nuking. When he has Killer, he can easily solo that Guild Quest by himself, 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, but if you ever get this character max duped out, you can use him in Guild Quest where he doesn't have Killer, which as of right now, the only 2 characters that can do that is this Ulquiorra and also Yamamoto. So because of that, his usability is super high. Damage output, super high. Overall, a very, very powerful character. And I didn't even mention another important factor is that he does also have Sharpshooter. The reason why that's important is that for the speed attribute, if you look at our overarching list here, most characters here don't go through any immunities. Our best speed character at this current moment, 7th Anniversary Uryu, amazing character, but unfortunately cannot go through any melee resistance. So because of that, he is held back a tad bit when it comes to Guild Quest and Extreme Cop, and that actually is the main reason why I'm going to put this Ulquiorra above Uryu as our new best speed character in the entire game. Ulquiorra definitely deserves it with his good survivability, great damage output, and overarching usability. This character is great anywhere, and there's definitely going to be a debate on what character is better, Ulquiorra or Uryu, and personally, I think Uryu is a better PvE character. If I'm going to choose one of the other character, I'm going to use Uryu. He's a more fun character and can definitely safely beat content easier. However, when it comes to clearing content, this Ulquiorra isn't that far behind. He is also a great character when it comes to clearing content. I just prefer Uryu. But on a tier list like this, we have to look at what characters can do that other characters can't. And in this case, this Uryu cannot do what Ulquiorra can do when it comes to Guild Quest nuking and also usability in Extreme Carp and even Senkomo stages where there are maybe a few resistant flaws. So overall, when it comes to the best speed character, I think they're so close that it really just depends on what you prefer. If you have no interest in Guild Quest content, then Uryu is the better character. But if you are someone that cares about Guild Quest even remotely, then Ulquiorra is going to be the better character. But regardless of who you think is better, they're both very powerful characters, both excel in different ways, and are both characters you definitely want to get your hands on. So we don't need to discredit one character because one is better. They're both great and both worth having. But with that, that's basically our speed tiers. Now let's move into the technique one. And for our technique attribute, we only received 1 new character, but did get 2 new resurrections. Now, in terms of the upgrades that these 2 resurrected characters did receive, unfortunately, they both basically received nothing. In Hiyori's case, she got more damage on her strong attacks and also Soul Bomb, which basically means nothing because she is a non-attack damaging character. You are most likely going to use Chappies on her, but she did pick up Last Ditch Survival, which makes her a tad bit better, but not enough to move up anywhere in the tier list. Same goes for Lisa, got more damage on her normal attacks, and also saw a 60% strong attack damage increase, but again, not enough to even move up in the tier list. They are going to stay the exact same. And then when it comes to our newest technique character, we have the past version of Kaname, who is instantly going to go into the A tier He honestly isn't anything too special. He is a great character in Guild Quest, and that's the only redeemable factor about this character. He wants to be used in Guild Quest, and that's essentially the only place you're ever going to use him. He has a high damage output on his normal attacks thanks to his 80% bruiser. 20% of that, by the way, he does share to the entire team if you are a technique character, and then he also does have more killer effect and melee damage. 30% kill effect, which gets increased to 50% in Guild Quest, and then 10% melee damage, which also gets increased to 30% in Guild Quest. And in addition to that, he also does have start barrier plus 10, which is going to help him just stay at full stamina in Guild Quest, for example. So he's a very similar character to the recently released Sagunt, Atapa, Ulquiorra. They both basically do the exact same thing. They're characters that want to be used in Guild Quest. But the difference between those two, and that's where the ranking is going to differ, is that Ulquiorra can be used in normal PvE content since he was given guard break. This Kaname unfortunately was not, so you're not going to use him in PvE content, and at the same time you're not really helping out the team outside of that particular skill. At the very least, Ulquiorra can be debuffing and also provide your team with a barrier, and at the same time Ulquiorra is a range NAD character that's innately better compared to a melee NAD character, so this Kaname is unfortunately held back basically by the lack of guard break. Very similar to Kurashiki, would have been S tier had he been given guard break, but because of that I'm just going to put him in A tier, just above Kurashiki, and that's mainly due to the fact that Kurashiki is unusable in PvE content. Kaname, at the very least, has a place to stay in Guild Quest. And with that said, that is this month's tier list. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. As always, in the comments below, if you disagree with any position that I put a character in, do let me know because we can reflect that for next month. I think this month, in terms of characters, we had a good wide range of characters receiving 2 farming characters in Gin and also Ulquiorra, and Ulquiorra being a very fun character. Great character without the farming skills, but the fact that he was given those farming skills makes him even better. And then, of course, we also did get a new speed character with Ulquiorra, the renewed version, and that is something that the speed attribute was desperately needing. Speed attribute is still a tad bit lackluster, but this is a step in the right direction for making speed overall better, because Ulquiorra is an amazing character, already breaking Guild Quest alongside Yamamoto, and overall a very solid PvE character, just like Oda. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. Looking forward to next month because that's when we're getting the end of year characters, and I'm sure those characters are not going to disappoint. Curious to see who they're going to be. I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.